Hello, everyone, and welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. Kaiser and I are here at the studio today, right before our vacation, and we're going to bring you some footage on what's going on over there in Iran with the attacks by Israel after being warned many, many times by not only our president, but by the Israeli president that if they didn't come to the table about this nuclear enrichment problems, that they were going to have a problem with one that it was militarily driven, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted a peaceful negotiation, which the mullahs decided not to come to the table, and then right before our envoy was to meet with them one more time on a peaceful resolution, they decided to tell us that they weren't coming to the table anymore. They were going to triple their enrichment and get a nuclear weapon faster. So this is a reaction by Israel, which I personally do not blame them for protecting not only our interest in the Middle East, but the rest of the Middle East from being confronted by a crazy regime that feels that a entire country needs to be wiped off the map, and then aim their sights here to the U.S. to tell us that they're going to wipe us out. So they can come back to the table and still have a peaceful resolution on this, or they can continue in this fashion of lobbing missiles around and find out that they picked on the wrong person when it comes to picking on Donald Trump or his cabinet or our military. We have the Carl Vinson on base over there right now, poised, ready. So if there's any attacks at all on our military, whether it's in Iraq or whether it's on the sea, with one of our ships being put in harm's way, they are going to realize that the retaliation process is not going to be pretty. Last night, they had strategic takeouts of some military leaders from the Iranian regime that were the military guard, the Islamic military guard, were taken out. From Air Force right down to the Army. So along with radar sites and a few strategic placed missiles, one actually went right into the apartment of one guy. This is how precise and how much precision we have in the weaponry that we have and Israel may have to combat their silliness. Take a look here at some of the destruction, and why would they not come to a table now to stop this?
کجا بود؟
It's almost incredible, and the only thing we can do is pray, and pray hard for peace to enter into someone's minds over there and decide to negotiate and give up the idea that they need to have a nuclear weapon to wreak havoc on not only their neighbors but the rest of the world with ballistic missiles that they claim to have thousands of, and some are aimed directly at here in the U.S., which would be a crucial mistake on the part of the religious mullahs that think that they're running a circus over there. Speaking of circuses, right here in our country, we had to put up with more nonsense yesterday in the hearings of the Democratic governors that were brought in to answer questions about their sanctuary cities and how that's working out for them. And they have made real jerks of themselves one more time in front of the entire Senate. And then the Democrats in that Senate are belligerent enough to believe that these illegals that are being rounded up are their neighbors now, and their friends, and their nannies, and their crop pickers, and the like of what you've never thought you would hear came out of these people, all while the L.A. problems are still going on. Newsom, the news carried yesterday, was a big winner because the court says that they have to take out the National Guard and that Trump was wrong to send the National Guard in. Well, the appeals court quickly turned that around, so Newsom won nothing. Newsom has made a complete fool of himself, and the senator out there that got put out of Kristi Noem's press conference yesterday, this was just an organized deal by sitting members of our Senate that put together a Hollywood-style kabuki theater of having this guy go in there. And first of all, nobody knew who he was because no one knew that this guy was even a senator. He came in dressed in street clothes without a Senate pen on or anything else, and ran at Kristi Noem screaming, and they removed him. They didn't arrest him. He wasn't arrested, but he had to be taken out because he was a threat, and they had no idea who he was or how to handle it. But they handled it well. They got him out of the press conference, and then he sat down later on with Kristi Noem and had a meeting like it should have been in the first place. But the interesting part to me, and the reason I know that it was a Hollywood production now, and anyone with a monicum of sense would realize very quickly that not only did he run in there, and within minutes Chuck Schumer runs out, Booker runs out, and some of the other Democrat congressmen were making statements within minutes. How did they know that it was taking place that quickly? So Schumer goes out and starts this rant about how, and then Booker right behind him. This was all orchestrated by these Democratic senators to make you believe that Kristi Noem is a bad person and that these police are, roughing up senators, and they had no right to do that. This was a setup. And I think that most of this population in these United States realize that this was a political theatric play that they put on here to get their point across. The Democrats on the left side of the aisle that are all whipped up about these illegals being rounded up need to be primaried the heck out of there. These people are not good for the United States. In fact, it sounds to me like they hate the United States. And really, it's unbelievable. Let's take a look at what happened here.
On the East Coast, 11:25 on the West Coast. If you were watching us a bit earlier here on Live Now from Fox, you did actually see as Secretary for the DHS, Kristi Noem was interrupted as she was addressing a crowd of reporters there. If you missed it, I do want to play that for you once again from this angle.
Continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles.
Half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty.
And again, that was a portion there as we did see that interruption. And we have now learned the identity of the person from Fox's Bill Melugin. It was Senator Alex Padilla, a Democrat from California, who has been very vocal on all of this. And we do have that video right here on your screen from Bill from a different angle. Take a look and listen here.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
All right, so a pretty quick video right there coming in from Bill Melugin at Fox News as he was there and got video from a different angle of Senator Padilla as he did interrupt that news conference, and you could hear him screaming. But again, that is a closer look there. Now, all of this is related to what you're looking at right here on your screen. The protests over, in some cases, actually escalating into riots there in Los Angeles and the surrounding area. California Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass continue to criticize President Trump's decision to send the National Guard and the Marines there to Southern California, saying that it has escalated the situation. President Trump, however, saying Los Angeles would burn without that assistance. Now, the protests are in response to a series of deportation raids across LA County in areas with a fairly large immigration population. The Migration Policy Institute does report that an estimated 950,000 people in LA County do not have legal immigration status, and that is about 10% of the population. All of the confrontations did begin Friday when dozens of protesters gathered outside of a federal detention center demanding the release of more than 40 people arrested by federal immigration authorities across LA. President Trump says he had to federalize the troops to address the lawlessness, while Governor Newsom called the order a, quote, complete overreaction that was purposely inflammatory and will only escalate tensions, end quote. Again, this is some of the video coming in from our Fox 11 LA team as we did get a view from several different angles.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. So you guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read.
So if you don't think that that was a Hollywood theatrical political theater, I will be amazed that you didn't think that, because it was too close of a setup and too early for Schumer to run out to that podium, bent over like a chicken hawk, to rail against this sitting president and the police and ICE and anybody that is bringing law and order back to a city that is right now in turmoil. I don't care how you look at it. L.A. is a mess. And now the mayor is sitting now saying that, well, we don't know if we can have the city cleaned up in time for the Olympics, a scant year away. So that's how much graffiti has been placed on buildings, how much looting has taken place, and the like. It is almost incredible, and we'll see some of that here in Stupid Town when we get into that portion in the last block of this program. I have to say that I am somewhat relieved that we're not right now involved in this takedown of Iran by Israel, and I pray for Israel to be victorious in what they have to do to protect not only the Middle East, the entire Middle East has to know and give thanks to Israel for putting a stop to these madmen that are running the country of Iran. And it is not the people of Iran. The people of Iran are under the thumb of a radical organization that is bent on destruction and probably will self-destruct under their own demise. But why do the people have to suffer? The Iranian population is suffering under this with torture chambers and the like. That is unbelievable. But yet you have, people like Wolf Blitzer and CNN coming out, and MSNBC coming out that this is all Donald Trump's fault. It's all his doing. Well, this is dead wrong. Donald Trump wanted peace. He asked them for peace, a peaceful resolution, and they decided against it and decided to make more of a increase in enrichment rather than a decrease. The Nuclear Society came out and said that they're not following guidelines, and now the UN will meet today, and God only knows what they're going to blame all of this on, but it won't be good. But we are standing prepared to stand behind Israel, and if that's a problem with some people, it will be problems with people on the left for sure. That's just one more thing to pay some more protesters to hit the cities around our country this weekend and cause more havoc. And we know now that these people are paid agitators. We know now that they're following the money train here to find out who is promoting all of this. And it will be solved at some point. We will find out by following the money who's behind the disruption in this beautiful time that we should be looking at with regard to not only a resurgence of our country, but also the anniversary of the country, the 250th anniversary of the Army, and so on, that's taking place, and a beautiful parade that was planned, and this is disruption. Here on Friday the 13th, one more time we have to face this nonsense. It's almost not fun this weekend to watch the news as they continue to lie to you in some cases and shade the truth that what is really happening across this nation. And it's a shame. But the Kristi Noem thing, that was political theater at its best right there, and we know that, and we see it. So they're not going to fool us anymore on the Democratic side of the aisle. It's really interesting on watching Tampon Tim Walz implode on himself yesterday in the Senate hearings. I don't have much of a clip on that. You'll see a little bit in Stupid Town, but it was interesting to watch Hochul, chipmunk face right there, was dumbfounded. She didn't even understand what was taking place in Albany, where her office sits, never mind the victims that were brought up into her face yesterday that she didn't recognize the names of. That's how out of touch Ms. Hochul is as the governor of the state of New York, my hometown, and I'm ashamed to say it anymore. What's happened to that city of New York in itself is a disgrace, and a lot of it and a lot of money was poured into housing illegal people in hotels that were finer than some of the hotels you and I may have to stay at. It's unbelievable the money that was wasted, and it was all government money, taxpayer money, that was funneled in to house these people, and now they don't want them to leave. And a person like AOC, incredible as it seems, is still wants to protect all of these people, and she is something else. Let's take a look right here.
Hey, Congressman, you blame President Trump for the chaos in LA by sending the National Guard in. Are you aware that they were already rioting before he sent the National Guard in?
Boom! Not even just about the National Guard. This is about the Trump administration. That's not related to the National Guard. It's related to ICE and the Trump administration.
So it's about the Trump administration enforcing the law.
Breaking the law.
How are they breaking the law?
They're not.
It is U.S. federal statute that United States members of Congress have open access to detention facilities, and it is illegal for ICE to block entry for investigations of those facilities.
What the hell does that have to do with anything?
They blocked and barred members of Congress from investigating these facilities at the start of this in Los Angeles, in New York. This is documented. Do your job.
They got into investigate the facility. Yeah, they did. And LaMonica McIver, do you think it's okay to assault law enforcement?
Of course you do.
Is it okay to body slam law enforcement? Congresswoman, is it okay to body slam? Is it okay to attack law enforcement? Congresswoman, you didn't answer my question.
I'm not shocked about that.
It's incredible on how stupid she really is and how out of touch with reality she is. And the Democratic Party is touting her as the new leader, one of the new leaders of the party. Well, the Democratic Party is imploding on itself, and every day they do something more stupid to make us realize that we can no longer vote for these people. And if they don't get hold of that party and bring it back into reality, out of fantasy land, and get rid of the people that have the incorrect thinking that are sitting in the seats of Congress under the guise of the Democratic Party, because it is not your father's Democratic Party any longer, and nor will it get back to that with the goings-on that we're watching every day now, and it's clear and present and in your face every day. So we have a little bit to show you on a reporter's attempt to talk to AOC. Take a look here.
We should never take impeachment off the table. We should never take, where we see law breaking, we should never take accountability off the table.
Well, that didn't work out very well for that reporter, but there's a lot to be said about her reticence to answer questions or understand the truth to the questions that are being asked of her and her colleagues that are running the new Democratic Party as such as it is. So that'll take us into a walk into Stupid Town one more time to take a look at some of the goings-on around the nation here that have to make the mullahs over in Iran think we're all crazy like these people are, and they will try something, whether it's with cells inside our country or even think that they can come and attack us. These people make it possible for them to think that way. Take a look here in Stupid Town.
convinced there's an appetite out there for this style of governing, this idea of competency, this idea of compassion, this idea of being able to get things done.
Yeah.
When you poll people, they love our policies, but they can't love those policies if we don't enact them. And if we don't elect Democrats, we don't get a chance to do it. We've got to have people know that we're actually listening to them. We're kind people and compassionate.
I've become friends with school shooters.
Maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. We have to ferociously push back on this. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully. And when it's a child, you talk to them and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the shit out of him back.
What an asshole.
Yeah, Democrats are assholes.
Unconstitutionally, illegally, without the governor's approval. That's something that has not happened since 1965. And it's hard to imagine that this time the National Guard were sent out to attack protesters that were exercising their constitutional obligation. As we see people exercising their constitutional rights to peacefully use their voices to speak out against this injustice, they are being met with tear gas and rubber bullets from this unconstitutional, unlawful administration.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
The Democrats have lost their minds and they've lost their confidence. They have very little confidence.
Well, I guess that's enough for a Friday the 13th. And as I said yesterday, Kaiser and I will be going on vacation for a week. So we'll be missing you here and there. But if we're out and about through some of these small towns in Appalachia and can bring you some footage of some fun things to look at and some calm things to look at, but we'll keep our ear to the ground at what's going on throughout the world and here in the United States while we're off. And if something breaks, we will get it to you from the road if possible. And I'm sure we'll find something to film and give you some peaceful look-see at things. And remember, if you can, pray very hard for our leaders here in the United States to make correct decisions when it comes to things like war and getting involved in another skirmish that we should not be involved in. We have a president that right now is anti-war. No matter what CNN and MSNBC tell you, everything is not Donald Trump's fault. We have a president that wants peace. He wants peace across the world. And that includes, now falling out of the news will be the Ukraine-Russia problem. And, of course, Hamas is backed by Iran. And I guess all of the proxies that Iran uses will be without some cash here for a while. And sanctions are needed to stop the flow of cash to these crazy terrorists that are out there causing damage all over the world. So with that, we're going to say stay safe, stay strong, and stay tuned to the Kaiser Report. We'll be back here the week after next, Monday through Friday, one more time. God bless you all. Bye-bye now.